Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into a truth that feels incredibly simple, yet it trips us up. Actions speak louder than words. For this deep dive, we didn't just, look at the old saying itself. We pulled insights from quite a stack of material exploring this fundamental principle across, everything, relationships, leadership, even how we deal with ourselves.
And what's really fascinating looking through this material is how it treats this not just as some kind of platitude, but as the absolute bedrock, the bedrock of trust, of authenticity, and real impact.
Right.
The sources really dig into the psychology behind why we're wired to weigh actions so heavily and the profound sort of real-world implications this has for building genuine connections and, frankly, establishing credibility.
So our mission today really is to go beyond just repeating the saying. We want to extract the crucial nuggets from these sources to truly understand what actions speak louder means on a practical level.
Yeah.
And maybe more importantly, figure out how to navigate those incredibly frustrating situations where what someone says feels completely contradicted by what they actually do.
Let's get right into it then. I mean, the core meaning distilled from all this material, it's pretty clear. While words matter, sure, behavior is ultimately the most reliable indicator.
Yeah.
Perhaps the only truly reliable one of someone's genuine intentions, their values, their commitments.
Right. And the material makes such a stark contrast, doesn't it? Words, it points out, are often easy. They can be fleeting, sometimes even, manipulated to sound exactly like what we want to hear.
Exactly.
Actions, however, they demand effort. They require consistency. They represent a genuine investment, of time or energy or maybe even facing consequences.
Precisely. And the psychological underpinnings highlighted in the sources are critical here. We are constantly, almost subconsciously, scanning for patterns in behavior. It's just what we do.
Like a built-in radar.
Kind of. And when words and actions align, it creates predictability. That fosters trust. It feels solid, But when they clash, that creates significant cognitive dissonance.
That jarring feeling.
Exactly. That jarring internal conflict, which is incredibly disruptive. And this isn't just some academic concept. The dissonance actively erodes the foundation of relationships. It chips away at credibility over time. So think about the real-world difference. Someone saying they deeply value honesty versus someone being honest even when it's difficult, even when it comes at a personal cost. The action, that tells a real story.
That feels so true. Our brains are these pattern matching machines, right? And misalignment just screams unreliable data. It doesn't compute.
It really doesn't.
So where do we see this principle play out most vividly? The sources gave some really specific, sometimes quite painful examples, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. Take friendships, for instance.
Yeah.
We've likely all had that friend who's full of these grand declarations. I'm always here for you. Call me anytime.
Yep. Heard that one.
But then the moment you're actually going through something tough, maybe a real crisis, they just poof, disappear.
Radio silence.
Right. Contrast that with the friend who might be less vocal, maybe less performative about their support, but when that crisis hits, they just show up.
They're just there.
Exactly. They bring over food without you even asking, or they just sit with you in silence if that's what you need, or they offer tangible, practical help. Their actions, simply being present, speak a language of loyalty and care that no amount of words can really match.
Showing up, it's such a simple action, yet it communicates volumes, doesn't it?
It really does.
What about in the workplace? That's another area the material explored quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's highly relevant in professional settings too.
Yeah.
Consider the manager who constantly talks about their open door policy, says they welcome feedback, loves feedback,
The classic line.
but then you watch their actions. When employees actually walk through that supposedly open door with suggestions or concerns, what happens? They get shut down, dismissed, maybe met with defensiveness.
So the door's open, but there's a wall behind it.
Pretty much. And what message does that send? It quickly teaches the team that the words, the policy, it's all meaningless. Now, compare that to a leader who might not talk quite as much about being open, but who actively asks for feedback, genuinely listens.
Actually listens.
Right. And takes action on suggestions where possible. Visibly supports their team. Their actions build a trusting, productive environment far more effectively than any slogan ever could.
Yeah, it's not just about the open door. It's about what actually happens when you walk through it. That's the real test.
Exactly.
And promises. They feel like the ultimate test case for this whole idea, don't they?
They really do, and the sources definitely highlighted this. Someone can make a promise, to pay you back,
Yeah.
to meet a deadline, maybe to change a certain behavior with incredible sincerity in their voice. They might sound totally convincing.
Oh, absolutely. Tears, maybe.
Right. But if they consistently fail to deliver on that promise, time after time, their actions render those sincere-sounding words utterly hollow. Their credibility just evaporates with each broken commitment.
It's like the words lose all their currency.
Precisely. Conversely, someone who reliably follows through, even on small things, maybe seemingly insignificant promises, they build this reputation for integrity. Their actions consistently reinforce the value of their word. You trust them because they do what they say.
Those examples resonate so much because, well, we've all lived them, haven't we? In some form or another. And they bring us directly to that really tricky situation many of us find ourselves in. The one that listener scenario kind of touched upon. Dealing with someone who says all the right things.
Yeah.
The apologies flow easily. The promises of change are abundant. They constantly express how much they care. But their actions never, ever line up. How do the sources suggest we navigate that frustrating cycle? Because it is frustrating.
It is incredibly frustrating. And this is where the material offers some, well, tough, but necessary advice. It fully acknowledges how painful and confusing this dynamic is, because you get caught in that hope and disappointment loop. You want to believe the words,
Of course you do.
but the guidance is quite clear. You have to really, for your own well-being and clarity, start operating based on their actions, not their words. You need to consciously step back and observe the pattern of their behavior over time.
So it's less about getting into a constant argument about the contradiction, like you said this, but you did that all the time.
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah.
I mean, the material doesn't suggest you need to call them out on every single inconsistency, though sometimes, sure, that might be necessary for boundary setting.
Yeah.
But primarily, it's about your internal recalibration.
Okay. Adjusting my own perspective.
Exactly. If their actions consistently contradict their words, you have to accept the tough truth that the words, no matter how heartfelt they might sound in the moment, are essentially empty when it comes to predicting future behavior or understanding their true priorities.
Wow.
So you have to adjust your expectations. And crucially, adjust your own actions and boundaries accordingly. It's fundamentally about protecting yourself from repeated disappointment by grounding your reality in the tangible evidence of what they do.
Not what they say they'll do.
Precisely. It means consciously shifting your focus entirely away from the verbal declarations and onto the observable actions. What's actually happening?
That's powerful and actually quite practical in a way. It takes the focus off trying to somehow make their words become true, which is impossible.
Right.
And puts it squarely on how we respond to their actual behavior.
Okay.
So as we pull back from this deep dive, what are the absolute core lessons the material wants us to carry forward from all this?
Well, if there's one overarching message that comes through loud and clear, it's this. Your actions aren't just a form of communication. They are your truest, most authentic language.
Your primary language almost.
You could say that.
Yeah.
They are the things that truly build trust, that would demonstrate real commitment. And ultimately, they are the things that define in the clearest possible terms who you truly are and what you genuinely stand for. Forget the talk, look at the walk.
Yeah. Your actions are your reputation, aren't they? It boils down to don't just talk about what you value, actually live it. Don't just say you care. Show it through what you do. Don't just promise, deliver on it.
Exactly. That alignment between word and deed, that's the key. That's integrity.
And that brings us quite neatly to the challenge this material kind of sets before us, before you, the listener. This week, the challenge is pretty direct. Show someone how you feel or show what you value. Don't just say it, whether it's, in a personal relationship, maybe something at work, or even in a commitment you've made to yourself. Let your actions be the loudest, clearest message you send out.
It's a constant practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aligning that inner intention with the outer behavior, it takes conscious effort.
It really does. This deep dive has certainly hammered home that actions are the ultimate signal, the clearest signal we send and receive.
Absolutely.
And it leaves us with a final, maybe provocative thought, something drawn directly from the spirit of these sources for you to mull over. If real growth isn't just about understanding a concept like this intellectually, but about actually living it, what is one specific action you can take this week? Could be small, could be significant, that will speak louder, much louder than any words you could possibly say.